I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You're trying to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I'm not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question is.
let me show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m. Quote, "The majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love."
In a fiery congressional exchange, a Republican lawmaker exposes the shocking political bias of Professor Marian Franks, who accused the Supreme Court of promoting white male supremacy and turning the Constitution into a homicide pact. Watch as he dismantles her radical claims and leaves her speechless. This is the moment the mask slipped on the academic left, and America saw the truth.
Professor Franks, let me ask you, I listened to your and Ms. Hemingway's testimony and Professor Turley's, so I got part of it. As I understand it, your position, Professor Franks, is that, I think you used the word myth. It is a myth that the Biden administration used government to compel speech, private speech, but that the Trump administration is doing that. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you think perhaps you're allowing your personal political beliefs to affect your objectivity here?
No, I do not. What is guiding my answers here is that I'm looking to see what the Supreme Court has said. You notice that in the testimony about the censorship industrial complex.
I got that part.
No, I just
want
to
to
clarify.
No, but I've only got 5 minutes. Your answer is no, as I appreciate it. Let me ask you a couple questions. You wrote a law review article in December of 2023 for the New York University Law Review, and it was about the two cases, Bruin, Supreme Court case, and Dobbs. Remember that article?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In this article, you said, I'm going to quote your words, "Taken together, these two cases demonstrate that the Supreme Court has embraced the use of the Constitution as a tool of racial patriarchy," end quote. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went on to say, quote, "When the Supreme Court declares that there is a constitutional right to armed self-defense in public, it openly embraces and promotes a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill those that they perceive as threats," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe so. Thank you for reading.
Okay. And did you also say in that article, I'm going to quote again, quote, "By simultaneously expanding white men's right to kill and constricting women's right not to die, this Supreme Court," referring to the current United States Supreme Court, "has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact as well," close quote. Did you write that?
That sounds like me.
Okay. In November of 2024, you tweet, don't you?
I'm not sure what the current terminology is for it, but yes, I am sometimes on the social platform that was formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, you're on a lot, aren't you?
I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You're trying to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I'm not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question is.
let me show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m. Quote, "The majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love anything, including democracy," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I am not sure what this has to do with the subject matter of this.
Did you say it?
I do not have those words in front of me. I probably said something along those lines, but
Yeah,
what is
you
the
said
relevance
it.
of that
Here
to
it
this
is, big as
hearing?
Dallas, right there.
Yes.
But your political beliefs don't impact your feelings about President Biden or President Trump.
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have
Sounds
is
to me like your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm. You said, quote, "There's a reason why the conservative-dominated Supreme Court thinks the Constitution does not contain a right to an abortion, but is convinced that it contains an individual right to possess firearms. And that reason is white male supremacy," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
Is there a question in this?
Did I read that correctly? That's
Is there
my
a question that is relevant to this hearing?
Did I read that correctly? Do you really think that the United States Supreme Court, you're an officer of the court, is guided by white male supremacy?
I believe that the First Amendment prohibits the president
and
other state officials for punishing people for
Did you honestly say that, Professor? And you expect us,
that the First
as a
Amendment,
Democratic witness, to take you seriously? Are you kidding me?
I believe that you should take
You
the First
heard of
Amendment
curb
seriously,
your
sir.
enthusiasm? Here's my saying, curb my nausea.
So here's what went down. Professor Marian Franks was testifying before Congress, trying to paint conservatives, the Supreme Court, and anyone who believes in the Second Amendment as dangerous. But the moment a Republican lawmaker started questioning her, the entire facade fell apart. He asked her point blank, "Do you believe it's a myth that the Biden administration has used government power to silence speech?" Her answer? Yes. She actually said it's a myth, as if the White House wasn't caught red-handed working with big tech to censor Americans during COVID and the 2020 election. Then he asked if she thought her personal politics might be clouding her judgment, and she had the nerve to say no. But what came next exposed everything. The senator started reading her own words from a law review article she wrote in 2023, where she claimed that the Supreme Court had turned the Constitution into a tool of racial patriarchy. Her words, not his. She even wrote that when the court ruled in favor of the right to carry firearms, it was promoting a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill those they perceive as threats. That's not academic analysis. That's leftist activism dressed up as scholarship. And she didn't deny a word of it. She sat there and said, "That sounds like me." Then he read another line, where she said the court had turned the Constitution into a homicide pact. Think about that. This woman is saying that protecting the right to self-defense is somehow killing people, while ignoring the fact that gun control leaves law-abiding Americans defenseless. But it didn't stop there. The senator pulled up her tweets, the kind of unhinged rants you'd expect from a radical activist, not a constitutional scholar. One tweet read, "The majority of Americans hate women." Yes, that's a real quote. She said Americans, her own countrymen, hate women more than they love democracy. And yet she wants to lecture the rest of us about objectivity, about fairness, about justice. The senator pressed her again. Did she write it? She dodged, saying she probably said something along those lines. Translation: "Yeah, I said it, and I still believe it." Then came the final blow. The senator read one more of her rants, claiming that the Supreme Court's decisions were guided by white male supremacy. At that point, even he couldn't stomach it. He said, "Do you honestly expect us to take you seriously?" And then, with the perfect parting shot, he ended it. "Curb my nausea." That line said it all. Because this is what's infecting our universities, our media, and even our legal system. Radical ideologues who see America not as a nation of laws, but as a battlefield for identity politics. They despise the Constitution because it stands in the way of their power. They hate the Supreme Court because it still upholds individual rights. And they can't stand anyone who refuses to bow to their ideology. But patriots, here's the truth. America doesn't need professors who twist history to fit their agenda. We need leaders who defend our freedoms, unapologetically. And we need citizens who see through the lies and stand firm for truth, faith, and liberty. Because if we don't push back now, these people will rewrite everything we hold dear. So don't just watch, join the movement. Subscribe, share this video, and help illuminate the truth that the left is desperate to hide.